Teachers, what's the most insane thing a parent has done to you? This one dad first tried to bribe me, and then tried to fight me. I'd say about every other year, I get some feedback from parents or students to change a grade. Last June took the cake. I had a student named Preston who did pretty well when he actually did the work. Unfortunately, this was incredibly rare for him. Preston was late every day, had an attitude, and was your usual troublemaker. This class was one he needed to graduate. I called him up several times over the semester to discuss his grade, but these discussions were generally ignored. I said, if you do your work from now until spring break, I'll let you make up for the missing work so you can pass with a good grade. Nothing changed. No problems for me. When all was said and done, he had a solid 60.3% going into the final. I told him the final was pass/fail for him. Pretty much any failing mark would drop his grade, and he would not be allowed to graduate. He says, no biggie, I've got it. Well, he didn't quite have it. He scored 39% on the final, and failed. The day after the final, he came in to see me. This is the day before the grade is due. Can I make up some work? Can I do some extra credit? Is there anything I can do? I replied, no, I'm sorry. I gave you several chances to make up for your missing work. You ignored them. I told you it was do or die on the final, and you died. You can talk with your counselor, and you'll more than likely have to do summer school. But I have family coming from out of town. Okay, I need to pass. Well, I feel bad then, because you are not passing. My father is not going to be happy about this. Well, that's a conversation between you and your father. This is the grade you earned, Preston. Preston seemed almost surprised at my response, and asked, you know who my father is, right? Of course I did. Everyone did. Preston's dad was an extremely successful real estate developer. He was one of the richest men in the entire state. This was probably why Preston had such a bad attitude, because everyone had always let him do anything he wanted because of who his dad was. But not me. Preston, your father has nothing to do with your grade in my course. That is the end of the discussion. He left, and about 30 minutes later, the AP in charge of my department was at my door, asking, what's going on with Preston? He failed. Is there anything he can do? No, and to be honest, I don't like being questioned about this. He failed. That's that. I am not questioning you, I just want to know what's going on. I then said, and that is a question. He failed, you can support me or not, but that isn't going to change. This was important because in my state, only teachers are allowed to assign or change grades. He left, and as he was leaving, I said, you know, if he put in half this effort this semester, he would have passed. It bothers me that everyone is coming down to discuss this with me. I've been teaching for 15 years, I kind of know what I am doing. I go off to take care of some paperwork, and return to my room 15 minutes later, and the principal is waiting outside my room. I enter my room and he comes in with me. I close the door, and he says, Preston is failing. His mother is in my office right now. Why won't you let him pass? I say, well, there really isn't anything to talk about. He failed the class. You can review his grades online. I'll be honest with you, I really resent you questioning me about this. I assign grades based on how they do their work. I don't need to rationalize my grades to you. Either I know how to do my job, and you let me do it, or I don't know how to do my job and you put me on a corrective program so I can do it to your satisfaction. Do you think I know how to do my job? He said, yes, but. I interrupted him, then let me do it. I am willing to listen to input if you know how I can do it better than I am doing it now, but this really can't continue like this. We need to have a discussion at this school about what is appropriate for administrative interaction. This isn't the time or the place, but this can't continue. He apologized and left. Later that day, when I was leaving the school for the day, I was approached by a man who was waiting for me outside. I already knew who it was, as he looked like an older version of Preston. He was also clearly on testosterone replacement therapy, as he was way too jacked for his age and his head was disproportionately large, like Joe Rogan. He introduced himself and shook my hand. I asked him what the visit was for, even though I already knew. He smiled smugly, and then asked, so how much is it going to be? I gave him a confused look, and asked, what do you mean? Don't play games. You know what I mean. How much do I have to pay you to pass my son? Wow, he really didn't beat around the bush. I shook my head, and replied, sir, if you are trying to bribe me to change Preston's grade, I will have to decline. That goes against everything I believe in. He chuckled to himself, and then said, come on man. I know you teachers don't make that much money. So what will it be, $10,000? $15,000? I know you need it. Now he was making me mad. The answer is no. I don't need your money. But maybe you should invest in some tutoring for Preston, so that he can finally achieve a passing grade in a high school history class. Now he was pissed. His oversized head was all red and veiny, and I could see beads of sweat forming on his forehead. He looked at me with all the intensity of a 50-year-old pump full of testosterone. If you keep talking like that, I'm going to have to shut your mouth for you. Now, a bit of context. He was pretty jacked for a guy his age, but he was like 5'9" at best. I'm 6 feet 2 inches and 220 pounds, and I had been doing Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu for 3 years. I did not feel threatened at all. I just looked at him and said, good luck pal. Then he charged me, swinging wildly. I stepped back out of the way until I saw an opening, took him to the ground and subdued him. The security guards got involved, and then the police showed up. One of the guards had seen the whole thing, so I just gave a statement and left. Preston's dad tried to say that I started it, but they had the entire thing on camera. A few months later I was able to get a large settlement out of Preston's dad to drop the assault charges. I got much more money than he was offering me, and I still failed his kid.